I think like 20 or 30 years, maybe 40 years ago, I drove by this house one time and I thought, oh my God, that looks like it could have been built by Frank Lloyd Wright, the famous architect from the last century. And the reason I say that is the bricks, those windows are traditional windows that he would always put up, the flat roof, the overhangs with and that door is really unusual, you know. Um, and the like I say, this brick is put over cement block. He liked to use cement block. That's a cheap way to construct, but he wanted it to make it possible for people of modest means to have nice homes, you know. And back then in the 50s, they instead of garages, they had carports, and people didn't have like 2 or 3 cars like they do today. They just had one car, so the carport was sufficient. And this car right here is over 30 some years old. It's a classic. I've had lots of sports cars. I had a Corvette, I had an Alfa Romeo, and I had other convertibles like a 57 Chevy and so on and so forth. But I like this one, and I like the house goes on around, and you've got that overhang going all the way around here. The house itself is 2,500 square feet, and the overhangs are another 2,000 square feet. So totally over the roof, it's like 5,000 square feet. in some markets, that would be at $100 a square foot. That would be a $500,000 house, you know. So anybody that wants to buy it, I'll sell it for $500,000. But anyway, so here's the backyard with the garden, and it's producing a little bit. I just found some cucumbers in there. I didn't even know they were there. Some small tomatoes. I put potatoes, but they didn't take. And then these are small fruit trees I planted. And then this is a good-sized cherry tree here. And I fight the squirrels for that. We share this cherries. They jump on it, and I get some too. And then there's more fruit trees back here. And this is a dwarf apple tree. And then I wanted to make this yard a sanctuary for myself. And I thought I want to have statues in it that make me center myself. So I put the objects on top of cement blocks. This one represents to me what, infinity, am I trying to say? Or this one represents youth, young life. This represents the religions, Christianity, Buddhism, and the death's head of the cow. This is another Christian and a representative of the Christianity and also the sea. And finally over here, these rocks, they represent the material world, and of course over there, the religious, that's spiritual world. And so I'm trying to say, make every day like a vacation. So for me, I think of this backyard here as a place where I can spend a vacation, a staycation, and I don't really have to spend any money at all. And I can have a nice, enjoyable time. I've got my hammock there and all the chairs and the flowers, the bushes and everything that I've planted. So I'm happy with it as it is. And everybody has their own attitude about what's what. And so what I like, you might not like, but these boxwoods that I really like, boxwoods, they're all along here. They weren't here. None of the bushes along the fence were there, those all came from one single forsythia bush, and the forsythia bush puts down runners and runs out the runners and makes another bush. So what I've done is I propagated all those bushes all along the fence are from one bush. It's amazing that what you can do. I mean, it costs me nothing but time. And that bush over there to the right, that's an original bush. The tree back in the back was the tallest white oak tree in the county, they told me, until the hurricane, or the hurricane, till the tornado came along about 6 years ago, I think, and snapped that thing right in two and shot it right across the yard. And it hit the roof up here. You can see where it's dented and hit the window. It didn't break the window, but my dog and I were hiding inside. My cat was out running around. He was hiding somewhere. And so there were volunteer trees growing in the yard. They just had been allowed to sprout and grow. They were like 50, 60 feet tall. I cut them all out. And so, you know, the man next door spent $14,000 getting rid of all his trees. I like trees, but they have their downside. I mean, you know, they can really do a lot of damage if they land on your house. And I'm a little concerned about that one, those two right there, but their trouble could be trouble in the future, you know. I had some thoughts and ideas about about religion in general, and about leading my life. Buddhism and Christianity are the two I've studied. I know a lot more about Christianity than Buddhism because I was raised a Christian and I spent a lot of time in various Christian churches. But I also studied a little bit transcendental meditation, which comes from like the Hindu faith, and there's a prayer that I developed. I'll take credit for it. I like the prayer. I think it's good. It says, "Dear Lord, make me healthy, wealthy, and wise, and treat me or teach me to do the things that I will love to do with the people that I'll love to be with, so that I can be happy and that I can be successful and I can spread my happiness and my success to the world around me." I think, amen. That's a beautiful poem. I'm not poem, but it's a poem, but it's also like a prayer. I like it. It makes me feel good because it gets everything in order. What you need to be happy, you need to be doing things that you enjoy doing. You need to be with people you enjoy being with. That should make you happy. And once you're happy, then you can be successful and you can share that success and happiness with everybody around you. And that just makes everybody's life better, you know. So this is one thing that I do. And like in the morning when I wake up, a lot of times I would expect everybody to do this, but I've studied I've studied I've studied prayers and I've studied meditation. And for example, Leonardo da Vinci was a meditator. What he liked to do was to take a candle and light it at the end of his bed, and then he would stare at the candle and the flame, and he would concentrate on whatever he was concentrating on. And he was considered a genius, so it was a good idea. That's one thing that people can do if they want to meditate. Another way to meditate is to close your eyes, relax your body, and just repeat a word over and over again. That's like transcendental meditation. The word could be, it's called a mantra. It could be, or could, sometimes I use the words relax, refresh, rest. Happy is another one I use. You could use the word Jesus. You could use the word Krishna. It's an Indian god. You know, you could use all kind of different words, and you repeat it over and over and over again with the idea of shutting down the ego, the monkey mind that's constantly jabbering at you and trying to get you to do this, do that, and make you worry and not enjoy yourself. So learning to control that mind is a thing worth doing. I read a book about a man who was a transcendental meditator, and he said that he had got to the point where he could go an entire day without the ego mind popping out. He could just live in the now and enjoy his life without any hassle from his ego, you know. So this is something you might want to work on. And by the way, with they've done studies on people with bipolar disorder, and they think that this meditation will help with that. It'll calm the mind, and so it's something that everybody should look at. Anyway, so that's one thing I do. Then once I've done that in the morning, and this sounds like a lot of stuff I'm doing, but then I do like 100 bicycles things with my legs. I 100 of those. That's not a lot. Just barely moving my legs. My daughter said, "Doesn't even look like you're doing anything." Well, when people do yoga, which she does, it doesn't look like you're doing anything either. But your muscles are working, you know, and the muscle that's I'm using when I'm doing the bicycle thing, and when I'm doing the leg lifts, and when I'm doing all these other little exercises, I'm pumping blood into my heart, into my brain. And when I went to get physical here last year, they put a little clamp on my index center finger to check the amount of oxygen in the blood, and it was 98%. Well, I said, put that on my middle toe. I want to see what the oxygen is there, because the way I look at it, the extremities, the farther away they are, the less oxygen they're getting. The less oxygen they're getting, that means that that those are not getting fed properly. And we know that the toes, and in the case of diabetics, the toes and feet, they all just eventually, they don't get enough oxygen, and they have to be, say, amputated in a really bad situation. So you get poor blood flow. So if you've got good blood flow in your toes and your fingers, that's a good indication that you have a healthy cardiopulmonary system, and that means that you have you're not going to have heart disease. You're going to live longer, and so that's something that, to me, that's important. And by the way, there's a thing that Dr. Berg on the internet on YouTube has, and there's several other doctors. They have things that you can drink to improve the flow in the blood and reduce the cholesterol and so on. You can look that up on there. And he throws in this concoction. He puts in apples, and he puts in apple cider. He puts in garlic. He puts in ginger and cinnamon, and he puts in olive oil, and he puts in hot pepper and black pepper, and there's a bunch of other items. All those are healthy, and they clean the arteries. So half the people in our society are going to die from cardiopulmonary disease. The other half die of cancer. And in the case of cancer, I was recently reading that selenium is very good to retard cancer. And I think they're going to be making big strides in cancer prevention and cure. And anyway, so selenium is one thing. There's others. I have a book here. This isn't a plug for these people, but this Life Extension magazine, they sell vitamins and minerals, and they will put you on their list for free every month if you call them or write them or get them on the Life Extension Health for Life, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Anyway, they have lots of state-of-the-art articles about health and living longer. And one more thing on the living longer angle that I like, that I'm getting up there in the years, is a book called Happiness Times Two. That's my book. That's a good one to read. Read Happiness Times Two by Bain Wetmore. Also read Sergey Young's Growing Young. And that is about wealthy individuals like in Silicon Valley who are working to extend our lives by extending the telomeres in your cells. And I think they're going to be doing some fantastic things in the fairly near future. We know that like about 50 years ago, life expectancy was 50. Now a male, it's like 78. Who knows, like 20 or 30 years from now, it could be, a 100 could be the old 50 or the new 50. I can see that. And believe it or not, what Moses and these other ancient people lived hundreds of years, so theoretically or supposedly, and they even have in Syria, the Syrian culture, they believe that some of these Syrians lived, like thousands of years. So, I mean, believe it or not, I think we're going to find out a lot more as time goes on about what did happen in the past, and a lot of it will shock people. This is an interesting little observation. Things that people don't believe or say, oh, that's impossible. The first thing they hear is, I don't believe it. The second thing they'll say is, well, that could be. And the third thing is, everybody knows that. We all know that happens. So we're learning all the time. And we're just in the infancy on becoming civilized human beings, learning how to be happy. We're not even there yet. What, 1/5 of our population is depressed. Only 12% are satisfied with their lives. There's lots and lots of room for improvement. My book, Happiness Times 2, Live Each Day Like You're on a Vacation, is written within the idea that people can improve their lives if they'll just analyze what they're doing wrong, what they could do right, and make the changes needed to improve that happiness quotient. So that's what I wish for all of you that are listening to this. In USA Today, I came across an article, and it's hard to believe, but there's a new ship that's going to come out, and you can get on this ship if you have the money, and you're going to have a lot of money to get on this ship. You can get yourself, for I think up to $8 million, you can get yourself a 250 square foot little like apartment or on this ship, and you can pay them $61,568 a year for service like housekeeping and etc., laundry service. That is so ridiculous, but I mean, there are people that have that money that do want to do that, and I suppose they can do it. But see, here I am sitting in my backyard. Today I have spent zero, and I'm having a relaxed life. I've got plenty of room. I'm not being crowded. I'm not being charged $13 a piece for a chocolate bar like I was when I went to Costa Rica, the quote one of the happiest countries in the world. So, I mean, let's use our own heads, think for ourselves. What makes sense? Does it make sense to live where I do? Or does it make sense to live in a little cramped place on a boat like this? It's a beautiful boat, but I mean, I don't have the $6 or $8 million to do that, and I wouldn't want to do it anyway because I think it's foolish. I mean, find a little place that you can afford in an area and a part of the country where you can afford, and get away from this grind that people have put you on, like living in these Silicon Valley, these expensive. I saw, my daughter sent me a picture of a home, not even this big, looking like it, in Washington, D.C., on the river there, the Potomac. And it sold for $950,000, and it was probably going to be a teardown. And I mean, this house didn't cost anywhere near that, and I am in a nice, quiet neighborhood. I have nice neighbors and friends, a nice little sleepy town, not a lot of crime like you get in these big cities. So let's just use our heads and realize, like Ottawa, as one person said, Ottawa is like the center of the country. It's like it's the center. It's a beautiful place, and I'm happy that I live here. So anyway, that'll be all for now. Okay, nice getting to talk to you people. Adios. That's Spanish for goodbye.